Hi everyone, this is Frank DiMora, and thank you for coming to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be covering some news today. Sorry that I haven't posted some YouTube videos lately, but I've been pretty sick, excuse me, and trying to get better because I'm going to Atlanta for my next presentation in 3 weeks. So, in any case, let me just get right into the news today because it is very, very interesting, and it really points to what's going on in the world, connecting prophecy with the current events. Now, most of you know by now that I've covered Zechariah many, many times. In Zechariah chapter 12, verses 2 and 3, it tells us essentially that anybody who comes against Israel is going to be wiped out. That's in a short phrase, and that's in a Frank's phrase. But look exactly what the Lord tells us about it. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about. And when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem, and in that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. And all that burden themselves with it would be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth gathered against it. So take a look at this. Jerusalem. He's going to make Jerusalem a burdensome stone, which it has been. It is the major obstacle which stopped the Middle East peace process, and it has been, in my opinion, it is going to be the burdensome stone that will bring about the next wars. And the next war that is on the list would be the Psalm 83 war. So let's go now and take a look at the headline here. And, well, let me just go right over to the article so you can see it. Here we go. Jordan and the Palestinians sign agreement to protect JLM. And this is obviously abbreviation for Jerusalem Holy Sites. The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and the King Jordan's King Abdullah signed Sunday an agreement by which they pledged to cooperate on the protecting holy sites in Jerusalem. The agreement was signed during Abbas's visit in Jordan in the presence of the Palestinian Minister of Religious Affairs, Mohammed al-Hash, and his Jordanian counterpart. According to the Al-Hajbash, and an agreement was devised in order to coordinate the protection of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Muslim and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem. He added that the agreement reiterated Jordan's historic role in securing the holy sites as well as the Palestinian sovereignty over the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Now, if you don't know prophecy, you're probably wondering what's so significant about this. Well, when you read Psalm 83, you'll find out that Jordan and the Palestinians are two of the peoples that the Lord told us were going to be coming against Israel. Now, Jordan has been the protector of East Jerusalem. We know that Abbas has been trying to get a hold of East Jerusalem. That was the major obstacle, and still is to this day what has stopped the peace agreement. Now, President Barack Obama went over last week to try to get this agreement, or the stalled agreement, peace talks going again, and so far it looks like we're on the same course. It is stalled. So very, very, very significant in the news if you know what to look for. Obviously, Jerusalem has become a burdensome stone, especially for the people that are listed in the Psalm 83 war. Now, a little bit more. Jordan's 1994 peace treaty with Israel recognized Jordan's role as the custodian of the Christian and Muslim shrines in the city, which Israel captured from the kingdom in the 1967 Mid-East War. The Palestinians, they want the eastern portion of the city as their capital and their future state. And this, my friends, is what I believe, as I already said, is going to cause the next war, because they're going to find out that the Prime Minister of Israel is not going to give them over East Jerusalem, and they're going to try to get it not by peace, obviously. If they can't get it by peace, they're going to take it by force. And this is essentially what we see in the Psalm 83 war of all of those nations, including Abbas and Jordan, moving into Israel. And as you can see here, in finishing this off, it says, the fate of the city and its shrines is to be determined in final talks, the status talks with Israel. So that's where we are, still at the standstill. Now let me go back here. And in the Old Testament, the Lord God told us what was going to happen, what kind of blessings Israel was going to get in the future. And in verse 19 and 24 of Deuteronomy 33, we see the blessings of gas and oil. Look at this. In verse 19, and they shall call the people into the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck the abundance of the seas and the treasures hid in the sand. So we know what's in the sand, we know what's in the sea, gas and oil. In verse 24, and of Asher he said, let Asher be blessed with children, let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in what? Oil. Well, this is really significant because since God has fulfilled everything that he said he was going to do to Israel up to this point, and when I mean up to this point, meaning that there's still some other prophecies to be fulfilled, how God is going to save the nation of Israel. We know that there's going to be an attack in Psalm 83. We know that there's going to be a war that God will fight against the Islamic regimes in Ezekiel chapter 38. So let me pull this together for you so that now you see that the blessings were supposed to be coming to Israel of oil and gas, which they have. Now in my live presentation, I'm going to be covering this pretty extensively. But here's the news today, April 2nd, 2013. Israel Navy gears up to protect offshore gas fields. Israel's maritime strategic assets pose operational challenge for its Navy or naval forces. Navy says suitable defense system will cost $700 million to build, $100 million annually to maintain. We are aware of the threats and we are prepared for them, says the Navy Planning Department Chief. Well, there you go. First of all, we know that Israel has found oil. They have found gas. Just in the last 4 or 5 years, mega fields of gas, biggest in the world. And so now what happens is you have Israel that didn't have these kind of resources before. They were recent discoveries, and now they have to protect those discoveries, especially when it comes with the nations, protecting them against the nations who are listed in the Psalm 83 war, of which we see Lebanon, we see the Hezbollah who are in that area. They want they want to actually do damage to these rigs, and so Israel has to maintain. They've gotten blessings, and now they want to maintain the blessing. Israel's huge new offshore gas reserves offers its enemies an obvious target and gives its navy long overshadowed by other branches of the Israel Defense Forces. A big job that will require extra spending. Now when you go down and you scroll down here, you'll see this is important. On Saturday, after 4 years of exploration as well as $3.5 billion investment, Israel announced that the Tamar offshore gas field has finally come online. Energy and Water Resources Minister Selvin Shalom said that the field will afford Israel energy independence. Israel estimates that there are about 950 billion cubic meters, roughly 33.5 trillion cubic feet of gas beneath the waters, enough to leave plenty for, get this, exports. A few years ago, they didn't have any gas. And all of a sudden, the blessings come on Israel. Israel gets blessed so much that, look at this, they'll have plenty and be able to be an exporter. I mean, if you can't see God working in the nation, Israel fulfilling every word, I don't know what it would take to show you. A successful attack could threaten export revenues and harm domestic energy supplies. Now, in my live presentation, I will be making the connection between the discovery in the oil and the gas and how it could relate to this attack from Ezekiel 38, where we see in Ezekiel 38 that they're coming down, the enemies that God lists there will be coming down to take a spoil and take a prey. And I believe that part of that will be because of the energy sufficient Israel and the blessings that they get. They may be a new powerhouse in the region, and this could be cause the conflict. It's a good possibility. So let me move on to the next section here. Now you see this figure in Daniel that I put up for you. Now this, in chapter 2, we see that Daniel is interpreting Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And Nebuchadnezzar was told every world empire from the time that Nebuchadnezzar was the king, he was the head of the gold, all the way until the last part. We see the legs of the Roman Empire, and then the feet of the revived Roman Empire, which branched down into 10 kings that would give all their power. Now, the United States is not mentioned anywhere in the book of Daniel. We don't see them mentioned at all, nowhere. And to think that, you know, Israel or the United States is going to be reborn again as a nation again, you're really pushing a stretch out there. It is not mentioned in chapter 2, and again, it's not mentioned in chapter 7, where they're dealing with the world empires that would be coming. Now, this brings us to a question: what happened to the supposedly the superpower of the world today? Well, obviously, because there is no information about it, and if it was a world empire, which the United States has never been a dominant world empire, in other words, ruling the world. They never did this. It has never happened, and so they could never resurrect again. But so what does this tell us? Well, this tells us to look for a decline of the United States. I've been showing you, I've been showing it people since 1976, getting them ready for the demise of the dollar. We see that happening, and I believe that the influence of the United States is going to go down, continue to go down, because the United States is fallen under the curse because they're trying to divide the nation of Israel. And you'll see that if you read Joel chapter 3 verse 2, where he talks about what's going to happen when you divide Israel, divide the people, the Jews, the land. And God says he was going to destroy anybody who divided the land. So we're seeing bit by bit the United States lose its power. So let me go down into this article here. And this is an article that came up today. This is the Zero Hedge. Thanks the reserve currency, but no thanks Australia and China to enable direct currency convertibility. It says, a month ago we pointed out that as the result of Australia's unprecedented reliance on China as a target export market, accounting for nearly 30% of all the Australian exports, with the flip side being just as true, as Australia now is the 5th biggest source of China's imports. The two countries may be joined to the hip. And of course you'll see the exports and the lines that they're doing here, the graph here, but I want you to see some important news. Over this weekend, Australia appears they have come to the same conclusion, with the Australian reporting that the land down under is set to say goodbye to the world's reserve currency. What is the reserve currency? The dollar. How many of these articles do I need to post before people start to pay attention to it? So, reserve currency in its trade dealing with the world's biggest marginal economic power, China, and will enable the direct convertibility of the Australian dollar into the Chinese yen without US dollar intermediation. In the process, slashing costs of thousands of businesses, and also confirming speculation that China is fully intent on, little by little, clipping away at the dollar's reserve currency status until one day it is, look at this, it no longer is. That's what's coming. I've been warning about it, and I truly believe that the reason why the United States is not seen as a world empire is because they lose their power in the last days, and we're well on to seeing that happen. So let me get back to this one more article. You'll see it in the Post, The Activist, and I'll have the links at my site when you go there. But you see here, it says, 5 of the 10 top economics in the world drop the dollar. The U.S. dollar is quickly losing its status as a world reserve currency. 5 of the 10, or the top 10 economies in the world, plus a few others, no longer use the dollar as an intermediary currency for trade. This trend poses a huge risk to the dollar and the United States along with it. Zero Hedge points out that today Australia, the world's 12th ranked economy, has now joined the growing list of nations that have agreed to bypass the dollar in the bilateral trade with China. Now, China, ranked second behind the U.S., also has similar agreements with Japan, which is number 3rd, Brazil the 6th, India the 9th, and Russia the 10th. Now, although unilateral agreements have been in place for some time between China and the countries listed above, last week the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa agreed to set up a development bank to compete with the IMF, International Monetary Fund. That's what this stands for, indicating it's gearing up to complete a post-dollar world. In other words, one which the dominant dollar no longer reigns. We are seeing the decline of America. There's no question about it. And for people who think that the United States of America is going to be a world power, they're going to be really shocked when they see that it isn't. It is not America that is in prophecy. It is the revived Roman Empire. The revived Roman Empire exists in the European Union. And we see everything that is happening in the European Union is leading to the last part of Daniel's vision here, where the European Union will filter down into 10 major kings, powers, leaders over the 10 nations, and they'll give all their power and authority over to this beast. We're very, very close. Watch the economy. The world economy is going to take a hit. We see it coming. We see it in Cyprus. We see it reverberating in Italy and Spain and Portugal. We see the debt ratio in the European Union that is causing a shake-up in the euro, and it looks like they will be filtering down shortly into a new division, and no doubt that those 10 leaders from those European Union nations will be given all their authority, just as Christ warns about in the book of Revelation. So there you have it. If you want more information, please take advantage of my book, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. If you're brand new to my YouTube video channel, just scroll up once you get to my prophecy site, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, March 26th. You click that link, you'll get my book today. God bless, and remember this. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You may not even be here tomorrow. And if you don't know the Lord today, you're going to be hurting tomorrow if you're called out. So today is the acceptable day to receive Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. He's given us signs unimaginable, coming quicker and quicker. And I'm praying that this information will help you understand that Christ is coming. He's coming sooner than most people believe, and he's going to be going in to the east gate, and he's going to take a seat in Jerusalem to be our King, the Lord Jesus Christ, King of kings and Lord of lords.